May you enter heaven late. May you live 100 years. May you always drink from a full glass. They prayed for long life in the pews, and they proposed long life in the pub, being the same mortals from morning to night. When you start talking about 500-year humans, said Aubrey David Nicholas Jasper de Grey, 500-year humans, or 1,000-year humans, most members of the general public get a little bit nervous. Aubrey was enjoying his fourth pint of ale at the Eagle, with dinner time still some distance away. This was our farewell drink. I'd spent most of the summer in London, and quite a few hours in Cambridge, listening to Aubrey over pints of ale. I'd heard him predict 500 years for us. I'd heard him give us 1,000 years. He'd hinted about 1,000,000 years. He'd foreseen the coming of this new age of man in 50 years, or even as swiftly as 15. Now, because this was goodbye, Aubrey was trying to summarize his views, and to convert me once and for all, and I couldn't turn the pages of my notebook fast enough to keep up with him. I kept raising my hand to stop him while I scribbled, and while I scribbled, he drank. Tap, 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 went Aubrey's glass against the table, according to the sober testimony of my voice recorder. I'd placed it on his side of the table by the cascades of his enormously long brown beard. From there it picked up every word, slurred or not, along with each groan and mortal screech of chair legs and bar stools against floorboards, and the frequent moments when Aubrey refreshed his voice and set down his pint. "I mean, you have to appreciate the scale of this," Aubrey said. "It never leaves my mind. Think of it," he said. 100,000 human beings die of the infirmities of old age every single day. 100,000 lives. I'm at the spearhead of the most important endeavor humanity is engaged in. Not easy to do, even though I don't often show it," he said, looking off. His face was struck by the late cloudy light from the windows of the Eagle like a gibbous moon, 3 parts bright and 1 part in shadow. Tap. At a table near ours, a few people from the university explained to a guest, "Cheers! It means, here's to your health." Their guest returned with his own toast in a language that sounded Central European. It meant, to life. In 1940, the airmen of the RAF defended London and bombed Berlin. Now a sign on the wall warned, "No smoking," in English, French, Spanish, Japanese, and German. I should probably expand on that. Because people occasionally ask me about it, how I cope with the responsibility, if you like, Aubrey said, with a small apologetic chuckle. Basically, I just feel that I've got to put things out of my mind and get on with it. I just don't think about it. This is my 4th beer, you may have noticed. Pause. Tap. And that helps, quite honestly. I do not like to think about it. Tap. Gravely, he looked off again into the distance, toward the windows on Bennett Street, stroking his beard. I had the feeling of watching a stage performance that I'd seen before. Aubrey had to be forgiven if he lost track of the speeches that he'd already made to me. He was talking with so many people around the world that he could hardly be expected to keep track of which speech he made when. But I felt sure he'd made this particular speech to me in another tavern with exactly the same lonely, haunted stare into the distance. Was it here at the Eagle, over Abbott Ale? At the Tabard Inn in Washington, over Foggy Bottom Ale? The Live and Let Live in Cambridge, over Nethergate Umble? My memory was getting a bit hazy. Somewhere before he'd shown me this same look of agony, his secret anguish presented for my private viewing, with just the same half-turned head, looking aside and 1/4 down, the same phase of the moon. And watching him stare out the window, I felt sure that he had made the same speech in the same way, with that same tilt of the head to many others by now. I had a sense of the crowd gathering around him. Aubrey had stepped into the role that seems to open up again and again, the role of the prophet or sage who declares that we do not have to die, that we can be among the saved if we will follow him to safety. The same character in every age, an immortal character who is reborn endlessly, who has probably appeared more than once right there in that very tavern, given its own longevity and the power of our longings. Friends of mine, distinguished biologists, were a bit shocked to hear that I was talking with Aubrey de Grey. One of them warned me that if I listened to Aubrey, I would be making a martyr out of a molehill. But I didn't see Aubrey as either of those things, and I didn't think he was mad, either.